Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks that I learned for rendering with pencil. Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So recently I've been doing a lot of drawings with pencils, in part because I've always hated it. And I wanted to get better at it because I'm actually just plain not good at it. And in fact, I was talking to my friend and mentor Paul Wee, who actually told me that that's probably why I hated it, was because I wasn't good at it. And that kind of, and it rang true to me. Like I'm like, oh, because you sometimes you got to get hit upside the head to hear the obvious, right? So. I've started just kind of really trying my best to just get better at it and to enjoy it. Because that's really the secret. The secret is to have that joy of doing it. So today I'm going to be talking specifically about how to make an actual mark when rendering so that you can at least, I'm going to show you the way that I'm doing it that makes it fun for me and why I have fun doing it this way. So that was for me the big secret was the way you make the marks makes it fun. If you're then having fun making the marks, then you're enjoying the process, which makes you want to keep going and doing it. So so that was the thing. Like when I do digital painting or watercolor, I enjoy the process, so I like doing it. But with rendering, I hated the process, so I didn't like doing it. So how can I enjoy the process of rendering to make it enjoyable for me? Well, I'm going to show you what I'm doing to enjoy the process, and I'll show you some tips and tricks on how to practice it. And so when you're doing it, you may enjoy it. This is not the only way to do it. This is the way that I enjoy doing it. I'm just going to share this particular technique that I'm using that helps me enjoy it. If you try it and you don't enjoy it, you're going to have to go to another YouTube video, or somebody else is going to show you a different technique, and maybe that's the one you're going to enjoy. But I highly recommend that you find a process that you enjoy so that you could actually get through the rendering process. Okay, so without any further ado, here you go. All right, so the first tip is where to hold the pencil. So I usually, I used to hold the pencil way up here when I was shading or doing any kind of rendering. And then I learned a tip to hold the pencil way up. And again, this is very similar to some of the stuff that you do when you're painting. You sometimes hold the brush very high up on the shaft of the brush. So you do the very similar thing when you're doing the pencil. And what this does is it gives you a wrist. You're drawing from your wrist and your arm. So that's one of the things that you want to do. And then what you want to do is when you're holding the pencil way up here, then you start kind of doing this feathering. So you do a feathering like this, and it could be up or down, either way, but ideally you want to go and do this feathering thing. Okay, let me draw up here a little bit higher up on the thing. So, and this gives you a lot of control. And one of the things that you want to do when you make this stroke is you want to do an ease in, ease out, to use an animation term. You want to ease in, ease out on the stroke itself. So you want to come into the stroke very lightly, then darken it in the middle, and then ease out of it at the end. And the reason why you want to do this is because if you want to combine like this stroke and this stroke together, Um, it's it the strokes come together much easier when you ease the ends are soft, and then they just kind of connect to the other strokes. And you want to do this uniform. Like right here, it's a little bit too dark, but you want to do it uniform. So you want to practice doing that and getting that kind of uniform idea, because then later on you can start pressing a little bit harder to start getting a little more nuanced, right? But it's still the exact same technique. Ease in, ease out, just a little bit harder, going in the same direction. And part of the thing, if you want to practice, is if you want, you can make a straight line here, like one straight line, and then wherever you want to end up, you make another straight line. So you kind of have a beginning and an end, and then you want to shade across to the other end. And try to keep the value the same all the way across. I think I should have just... Okay, I'll stop right here. But anyway, because I don't want to take forever. But that's one thing that you can do. And then another thing you can do, if you want to get a little bit more nuance with control or finesse or a little bit more, what's the word? Planar changes, because what you're basically doing when you're doing this stroke, these strokes, is that you're kind of painting in the direction of the plane. This is the idea. So in painting, it's like painting in planes. And when you're painting, you have a flat brush and you're holding your brush, and then you just kind of, bam, you're chiseling out planes with your brush. This is the same thing, only it takes a little bit longer because you're actually making line strokes. Sometimes you want to be able to change the direction of the plane as you go. So one of the things that you would probably want to do is, let's take this straight line that I never got to, and then you can have this is where you want to end up. Say this is where you want to end up, and this is where you start. And so what you do is you do an exercise where you're slowly going to turn your shading in that direction and combine those two. And then you have a little bit more of a finessed line. And you could even go so far as to even add a curve, and then do that with a curve. And that just makes it, that's more difficult. But then you're curving it as you go. And that's yet another way to add an interesting plane change. Okay, so, but that's it. That's just the general trick, is that you just go over it and then darken it as you go. And you just generally want to keep the same direction, but you're holding the pencil really high up, and then you do that. And then I found that this was the trick. This was the thing that made it really fun for me and challenging, and it made it interesting to render. Because before, I would just kind of do this, and it was just boring. But when you have this, when you do it this way, not only do you have like this not only does it work with the whole notion of planes that I'm more used to when it comes to painting, it gives it a very beautiful direction, a very beautiful way of connecting, of giving the drawing a more painterly look while you're doing it with pencil, because you're using that logic of painting, that logic of planes having a direction. But also there, because the technique is so tricky, it also has, you're constantly thinking about control, pencil pressure, stuff like that. And if you want to practice, you could do this in your sketchbook and just practice drawing strokes. If you have a little bit of time and you're like at school, or you're taking notes, or you're in a meeting or something and you want to practice doing your little strokes, you can do that. And it's all about control. And so this makes it interesting for me. This was the trick that made it interesting, and it finally got me to the point where rendering suddenly stopped being mindless and dumb. And I was just approaching it. I had the wrong mindset, and it was dumb of me to think it was dumb. And having gone to the point where now I've got this kind of this technique makes it just challenging and fun, and it gives it it makes rendering enjoyable for me now. So yeah, that's my tips. Just hold the pencil up high, use your wrist and your arm, and do the ease in, ease out, so that you're able to connect. And this is going to make rendering way more fun for you if you're like me and find it a struggle or kind of boring to do. All right, so that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.